Good morning, Maria. Thanks for having me. And hello, Tillamook. It is really good to be here on this chilly morning. Boy, I woke up this morning and I have a little dog and she needed to go outside. And as much as I love her, I did not want to take her outside because I was freezing my tootsies off. But I digress. So welcome Robin Watts and Ginny Gable from Tillamook Regional Medical Center. How are you guys today?
Good morning, Stacie.
So you guys are here because you're part of the Tillamook County Wellness group, formerly Year of Wellness, and you are on the screening. Tell me what the name of so the way that it's structured, if you don't know a lot about the task force and the committees, is that we're doing committee work because the goal is really tackling diabetes in our community and giving people resources so that they know what to do, they know where to go, they can be empowered, they can look, start the process. But screening and detection and getting diagnosed is the first and a really big step, right? Why is that so important?
Well, first, this is one of 5 committees, the screening. There's also health promotion, access to healthy foods, physical activity, and workplace wellness. So screening is important because you want to see you want to know who's at high risk, and then you want to look and begin to see, well, where are they at and what can we do to prevent this, stop it, improve it, whatever steps need to be taken. And because you don't always feel sick or feel my blood sugar is low, just like with blood pressure, you don't always feel it. So it can creep up on you over the years. And
it just becomes your normal a little bit. You don't realize, that's not
frog in the hot water. The temperatures rise slowly, and you don't realize how hot it could be.
I've never heard that before. The frog in the hot water.
Well, you put a frog in a pan of water, and then you turn up the heat, and pretty soon, what's
sorry
happened?
About your luck. Frog legs for dinner.
Yeah, but
that's for some people. Not this one.
But you don't realize. So we want people to realize it can overtake you before you know it. And there are steps you can take early on to mitigate the seriousness of it and maybe even prevent it, slow its progression, and decrease your healthcare issues and costs and stress and that.
So tell me about, for type 2 diabetes, you can even be reversing some of the effects, is what I understand, if you catch it early.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes, with diet, exercise, you may or may not need to have medication. Sometimes you can just
manage it with your diet.
With a change in behaviors and lifestyle.
Oh, wow. So you guys brought some screening tools, and I thought it would be fun, or we talked about it would be fun to go through this screening so that if you're in your car right now, you can kind of be listening, or if you're at home listening and kind of checking some boxes in your head to see if you are at risk.
Yeah,
this
so
is a
if they're
safe
at home,
space. We can all talk about it. It's okay.
Grab a pen and a piece of paper, and Robin and I will take turns asking the questions, and you just follow with what we're doing. Now, the first question is, how old are you? And we're going to give you points for different ages. If you're less than 40, you don't get it to write down any points.
Typical.
It's 0.
Just typical.
40 to 49, 1 point. 50 to 59, 2 points. 60 or older, 3 points.
Why is that when we age, it can impact our risk of diabetes?
We're older, so we're not functioning to the same capacity as when we were under 40.
Do you think we're more active under 40 too, and exercise plays into it?
A lot of that, yes. Sure. But it's a higher risk after 60 that you will be a diabetic.
Interesting.
So Robin has question 2.
So number 2 is, are you a man or a woman? If you're a man, you get 1 point, and women get a 0 point.
Interesting.
So that must say to us that it's more prevalent in men.
Okay, question number 3. If you are a woman, have you ever been diagnosed with gestational diabetes, which is during your pregnancy? And if yes, so if you had gestational diabetes, you get 1 point, and no, 0 points.
Okay.
Number 4 is, do you have a mother, father, sister, or brother with diabetes?
Yes. So it's primarily your immediate family. What if it's a grandparent or something like that?
I think there's a little bit less. If you had a grandparent but not in your immediate mothers or fathers, it's a little bit
A little bit less. Interesting.
So how many points should they get?
So if you say yes to that question, you get 1 point, and no provides you with 0 points.
Okay, question 5. Have you ever been diagnosed with high blood pressure? And if yes, 1 point. If no, 0 points.
And how is that? Since Robin, are you a nurse?
I am, yes.
Yeah, okay. So you guys, I've got like a captive audience here. So why is there a correlation between high blood pressure and diabetes? Like, how does that all work? It's very interesting.
Diabetes, with the amount of sugar that's in your blood, affects the blood vessels, the lining in the blood vessels. And blood pressure also does. Higher blood pressure puts more pressure there. So it's all to do with your blood vessels. And
Interesting.
set you up for...
We're like a machine or something.
We all work together. Everything works together.
It does.
Yes.
It's amazing that, there isn't more that goes wrong
Yeah.
with all the pieces that have to fit together.
Sorry to interrupt, but I can't help it.
Number 6 question is, are you physically active? So if you say yes, you have 0 points. And if you say no, you'll take 1 point.
And what is your weight status? Now, there's a chart here, so it's a little bit harder for us to do this. But I think most of us can tell, are we underweight? Are we at the weight we should be? Or are we overweight? And so if we're overweight quite a bit, it'd be 3 points. If we are overweight just a little bit, 2. And it looks like 1 point for kind of where you should be. So you probably know, yeah, I'm a 1, 2, or 3 on the weight scale. I'm just going to let you add that in. So if you score 5 or higher when you add up all your totals, all of those things we just added up, you're at increased risk for having type 2 diabetes. Now, this is just a survey. You want to take it to your doctor and say, I was listening, and this is what I'm thinking.
Sure.
And have them do some more tests to see what's going on.
And so that, again, is your age is a factor. If you're a man or a woman, if you've had a diagnosis of gestational diabetes, anybody in your immediate family that has it, have a diagnosis of high blood pressure and are physically active, and your weight. So, and if you want access to this screening so you can look at it, is there a place people can go? They could contact me at Northwest Senior and Disability Services. I have this.
It's on the American Diabetic Association's website.
Great. Okay. So that you can do a little bit, if it's a little scary or you're like, I need to take a look at that. Or maybe you know somebody in your family that you really are concerned about, and you could go online, print this screening off, and sit down with, mom or
They could also
whoever.
call Robin at the health department or myself at the hospital, and we'll help walk them through this and give them some more information.
So there's information and resources out there.
There is a ton
Yeah.
of them, yes, and testing capabilities, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have to take just a short little break here. Where do you go to find almost anything you need for home improvement? I'll tell you where. Rosenberg's. Rosenberg's has been your local connection for anything you need to build and finish your house to perfection. Carpet, cabinets, paint, electrical, plumbing, nuts and bolts, fencing, windows, doors, and so much more. All those items in one place, but that's only part of the story. What really makes Rosenberg's your stop for home improvement is their people. Their knowledgeable, friendly staff is there to help you through any project. Any question from what paint you should use to how to install a new shower valve, you can get the help you need and do it right the first time. Stop by Rosenberg's today to rediscover what you've known all along. It's better to shop local and work with great people that you can see every day. Build it, plumb it, wire it, paint it. Rosenberg Builder Supply. Do you notice that when I say that, obviously the listeners can't see me right now, but when I say the build it, plumb it, wire it, paint it, I have like a little move that I do every time. And
a little dance in your chair.
It's like a little jingle to me, and it makes me really happy. So anyway, this is Stacie from Northwest Senior. Where am I from? Northwest Senior and Disability Services, Stacie Zuerchr, and I'm a guest host today, and I'm sitting here with Robin Watts and Ginny Gable from the hospital, and it's just really fascinating to me, the screening tool that we're working through to talk about and identify people that are at risk for type 2 diabetes.
And
Thanks again for being here.
One reason we're talking about this is National Diabetes Awareness Month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, November is. And, there's some things you would do when you go to your doctor. One, he would probably order some lab work, which is pretty normal. Cholesterol screening would be included in that, and a fasting blood sugar. So it's important to come fasting to your doctor's office if you can. Your appointment's at 2 o'clock, we understand. But
Sure.
if it's a morning one, try to come fasting. And that's one test that is done pretty routinely anytime you go. And that tells us if we see high numbers, we want to do more investigation. You want to talk about A1C?
Go for it.
And then another test we would do is an A1C. Now that test
This test blows my mind, the A1C.
Yeah.
Tell us what it is first. Which you were going to do, and I interrupted you. I realized that.
So this is also a blood test, and all we need is a little drop of blood, and it shows us the average that your blood sugars would be running over a 2 to 3 month period. Now, how it does that is we look at the amount of sugar that's attached to a hemoglobin molecule in your blood. So the hemoglobin molecule takes the oxygen around to our tissues. These cells live about 90 days and they die. And sugar tends to attach to it. And so you begin to see an average. So whereas a fasting test tells you right this minute, the blood sugar after you had your donut is whatever. Or I haven't eaten in a long time, and so my blood sugar is low, as it should be. The A1C does not require fasting because it's looking at the molecules in the blood. So if our blood sugars have been high, a lot of them are going to be attached to it. If they've been extra low, then there won't be many attached. It's most helpful to someone who's already a diabetic and they're on medication, and we can begin to see, are the meds working overall? So it's not a this minute test.
Sure.
It's a how's things averaging out. So sometimes people come and they say, oh, I'm not a diabetic, but I want you to do that test. So I first say, well, do you have any symptoms? And we go through the symptoms. Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? Are you losing weight? Are you feeling tired and run down? Do you have a cut or a sore and it's not healing? And if they say yes to any of those, you're going, okay, we can do the risk test. We begin to see, okay, let's do a fasting first, and then there's some other testing we can do. So we don't just do an A1C on everybody.
You said something interesting that, because I think knowing those signs are really, really important so that people can be paying attention for themselves, their kids, their family, their loved ones, friends. But you said if they're losing weight. And so a lot of people have an association that diabetes is something that really affects people that have the extra pounds. But what you're saying is that you could be losing weight too.
Well, they can be overweight too, as we noticed in the...
Sure.
Sometimes what you see is because people aren't eating, because they're just not hungry. Usually they are hungry, more often than not. And usually their blood is thicker with the sugar. This is very simple. It's much more complicated, but it makes the blood kind of like honey thicker. When you have the sugar in the blood, it's not going into the cells for energy. So then I'm feeling tired.
Oh, okay.
I'm feeling tired.
The other part that you're talking about the sugar, but let's talk about how it's not, for somebody that doesn't know a lot about this, there's a lot of sugar in, it's not necessarily all just cane sugar, for example. There's a carb factor too.
So true. So it's really, diabetes is really not about sugar. It's more about fat. And fat interferes with the cells getting the sugar into them. So I'm going to do this analogy because it works with I had a car once and the horn didn't work. And you go to press on it and it wouldn't, which I was told the third time I went to the mechanic that, well, if you're a defensive driver, you don't need your horn. And I thought, someone pulls out in front of me, I have nothing. I want my horn. So I take it in, and they supposedly fix it, and I drive out, and the horn doesn't work. So I went back in and asked for the big boss of the whole car dealership, and I told them, and so they got in there, and they worked, and he said, oh, you know what the problem was? There was so much grease around your steering wheel where it would make contact that it wasn't making contact. The grease was all there, and your pressing on your steering wheel didn't make the connection to the horn. So I use that as an example. If I have too much, actually, fat in the system, then the blood cell, which needs to open up and take the sugar in, can't do it. And insulin is the thing that knocks on the cell and says, open up. Let's get the sugar from the blood into the cell for energy. Our body uses glucose. Our brain uses it. That's where we get our energy. Not table sugar like you're thinking.
Sure.
But the energy as our food breaks down into the sugars the body needs for energy. And when we have a lot of fat, it gums it up. Doesn't make the insulin able to get the message to open up. Mm-hmm. Take in your energy, your fuel source.
And that's the fat, like fat in our diet, or just fat?
Fat in our diet.
Yeah.
And we Americans eat a high-fat diet. We love our fried foods. Mm-hmm. We love our
cheese.
Our cheese.
You know,
cheese is 85%.
But it's okay. It's just moderation. We love cheese, but there's some, it's just an ice cream and all these different things. Like
and when did these come
attention.
So much into our diet? In the 80s? Mm-hmm. About the 80s, we went to low-fat milk. Well, what's going to happen to all the fat? So we started making cheese. We made it before, but not to the way we're making it today. And then we started putting it on everything. Triple cheese on our pizza, cheese in our green bean casserole, cheese. I mean, we put it everywhere, and we started eating more.
You're saying it like it's a bad thing, Ginny.
Well, I think, like you say, in moderation.
Yeah.
We don't need it everywhere on everything.
It's in at every Christmas party or,
So you need
potluck.
moderation. And the other thing we need is fiber in our diet to take the cholesterol out, to help moderate our blood sugars. You can have apple juice, which is just a concentrated, like 4 apples maybe could make a glass of apple juice, but you couldn't eat 4 apples because of the fiber. Mm-hmm. So as a diabetic, I need to put the juices away, drink water, and eat my apple whole, where I get all the vitamins and the fiber, which helps my blood sugar from going so high. If they made fiber donuts, that might be something we could eat, but donuts don't have any fiber.
Right.
It makes our blood sugars go up. So we want to be careful and put in more fiber in our diet, less fatty foods. Mm-hmm. Doesn't say you can't ever, but each person has to decide what makes their blood sugars go up. It might be pasta for me, for Robin. It might be ice cream. It may be different things.
Sure.
And we watch our blood sugars closely to learn. Mm-hmm. When we teach our classes, we go through this in more detail.
Sure.
What causes it? How do I eat? And exercise. You want to comment on that?
Sure. You are very much the expert on this. I can help you with vaccines, though.
Oh, good. We're going to get to that. Yes. Screenings are important for all these things.
Yeah, I mean, it all goes hand in hand. You want to keep the weight off. You're counting your calories, watching what you do take, but you need your exercise to balance that all out, to keep your blood sugars level. To make you more energetic, get rid of some of the weight.
Sure, and it's true that like if you eat a meal, that taking just a 10-minute walk can be a big deal.
Huge. Do you know it can drop your blood sugar 10 to 15 points?
Wow.
10 minutes after the meal. The hard thing is getting up from the table and going, and then coming back and clearing. You want to clear the dishes and sweep the floor and and pretty soon it's an hour.
Yeah.
And you get lost. So
We're
finish
gonna
lunch
take
and go for a walk.
Quick break, but it's so fascinating. So eating nutritious foods combined with regular exercise is the key to a healthy heart. Overconsumption of foods packed with added sugar and carbs, oh, how ironic that we're talking about this today, can lead to high blood pressure and blood sugar levels, damaging blood vessels and contributing to heart and vascular problems. To keep your heart healthy, cardiologists at Tillamook Regional Medical Center recommend eating at least 5 servings of fruit and vegetables each day, exercising for 30 minutes daily, and sleeping 7 to 9 hours each night. Visit northwestregionalheart.com for more healthy heart healthy tips and to take a free and confidential heart age assessment. So, and then the hospital also, Ginny brought me today, Look Good, Feel Better is a free program from the American Cancer Society designed for women dealing with hair loss and skin changes from chemo and radiation. You learn specific techniques from licensed esthetician Angela McKibben, who I love. She's so sweet, to help you make the most of your appearance while undergoing treatment. You can also take home a makeup package valued at $200. So that's there's a little class on Wednesday, November 14th. That's next Wednesday from 10 to 12 at Tillamook Regional Medical Center. And you can call 503-815-7564. Leilani Herleman to register or get more information, and you can call anybody at the hospital. They can direct you to the right person.
This is free, and it is such a great class. You walk out of there. Well, I would recommend anyone that goes to it to plan to go out for dinner that night with their loved one, because they're going to feel like, I want a date. I'm looking so fantastic, and it's really a very wonderful program.
Neat. So back to Tillamook County Matters or Health Matters. And the various committees that we talked about, health promotions, nutrition, physical activity, workplace wellness, and the two of you with a group. Who else is on your committee?
So we have Marlene Putman from
the health department.
Yes, which is actually where I work.
Yeah. I always forget that. I apologize. That's so okay. I should have said that in the beginning. That's okay.
And we have Jim B. Kraft and Joelle Archibald. She's from the CCO. Oh, Emily Vanjoy from Tillamook County Women's Resource Center.
That's a powerhouse group around the table. It really is.
Sarah from the Creamery.
Yes, Sarah Bobian, I believe. Yeah.
Zuerchr.
Yeah. Well, and so you guys are your mission in your committee. Tell me about your mission in your committee and what kind of work you're doing.
Well, so we are the screening committee, which sounds pretty straightforward, and it is. So we've been tasked with trying to, everybody does screenings, but do they all do the same? Are they following the same format as far as asking risk factors? So that's kind of our first step. We need to find something that everybody uses so that
something universal.
Something universal, that's the exact word. And then so you've tested. So what do you do with that information now? Who is going to look at that and make a decision with you, the patient, as to what to do about those levels? There's a data piece to it. Okay, so we know that. Now, what are some of the things that we can do to make sure that people know their numbers, know how they're feeling at a particular time, and just kind of moving down that line? What strategies are we going to use to keep people knowing what their numbers are, keeping them healthy?
Yeah.
There's another component that this will help us find is those with what's called pre-diabetes, those who are headed there. The numbers are rising every year. And what we're talking about is if your fasting blood sugar is under 126, that's good. But is it climbing? Is it going from 92 as a fasting to 95? Next year it's 99. Next year it's 104. Okay, if you're above 95, we're in the pre-diabetes stage where we can do a lot of interventions like exercise, changing how I eat, looking at my stress levels to keep us from getting into that diabetes number. And
so your screening here says, the diabetes screening that we talked about earlier, if you have 5 or higher, you have type 2 diabetes, which is...
No, if you have 5 or higher, you're at risk. This is just risk factors.
Oh, okay.
You need those further testings to say know. You are diagnosed.
Okay. But if you're a 4, you should still ask the questions.
I'd still be watching very carefully.
Yeah.
And it's probably something that you can do from time to time. If you see your weight starting to creep up, or just if you see any of these. there's 4 of these items on here that you really have no control over.
Sure.
You know, your sex, your parents, your family, information.
And how you age.
Genetics,
you know?
yeah.
Although I just heard last night a man in Finland or Sweden wants to be, he's 69, but he wants to be 49. And he feels he fits the criteria for being 49, and he's going to go and see if he can have his birth certificate changed. And I'm like, well, give it a try, but your body's
one
still...
too many meatballs? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know. He's, he just says, I want to be what I want to be. And,
Okay.
But you can say that mentally.
Right.
But you cannot change your age. Your body knows your age. And that
I feel like there's more to that story. That guy's interesting to me, but I guess that's a different show, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So there is blood pressure changes and your weight changes. So, and are you physically active? Some of us have been in the past and are less now. So those are things we can do something about.
And we've talked about type 2 and pre-diabetes, but give us a refresher on the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes.
To make it real simple, in type 1, which usually happened earlier in life, although we're seeing it later, your pancreas isn't working. And your pancreas puts out the hormone insulin, which helps our body deal with our blood sugars. And so if the pancreas isn't doing that, we have to take insulin. That could be from damage, disease, a variety of things.
Sure.
But only 10% or less of the population is a type 1. Still, when they do lifestyle measures, improving their diet, being active, it can improve even their condition. They'll never be off insulin because you have to have it, but they can use less if they're doing healthy behaviors.
Gotcha. Well, so I love that Tillamook County Wellness has made the screening process such a priority because people, if they don't know, it doesn't, there's, you got to start somewhere, right? Are there any takeaways that are really important for listeners to think about today?
Well, know your numbers.
Know your numbers.
Right.
That's the campaign.
Yes.
Right there. The marketer
number.
in me was like, yes, know your numbers.
And so I think some of the things that we're looking at is where can people go besides their doctor's office to
Oh, okay.
find out that
Yeah.
number, Should there be like a quick test that they can, I think about the pregnancy test, right away.
Yeah.
If somebody could develop that.
That's a great idea. So, and you guys are working on like some universal things, like you said, to have available. So anybody, you can go to the hospital, you can go to the health department.
If you don't know where to go, call us.
Call
the hospital and say, I want to talk to your diabetes educator or the health department, and they will direct you to the right person. And we'll start there.
I love it. So I have a few announcements today. The sponsors for today's show were Rosenberg Builder Supply and Tillamook Regional Medical Center. Happy birthday to Dana Mitchell. Monday is the Farm Bureau. They'll be on here on Tillamook today. And then a reminder, senior meals are at 11:30 at St. Mary's by the Sea in Rockaway Beach every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. At noon every day at the Kiwanda Community Center in Pacific City, as well as the Tillamook Senior Center on 4th and Stillwell. And we need to add to this list in Nehalem at the Nehalem Methodist Church Tuesdays and Thursdays. The cost is $3 for seniors and $6.75 for everyone else. Nestucca Fall Play has shows tonight and tomorrow at 7 o'clock, held at the Nestucca High School. Fun. Tickets at the door, $7 for adults, $5 for seniors, and students with ID are free. This morning at 10:30, East School Elementary will be honoring veterans with a Veterans Day Assembly. The high school choir will be singing the national anthem, and Jim Allenbrand will be the guest speaker. East Elementary School would like to invite all the veterans of Tillamook County to attend. Tonight is another Sip and Shop downtown event from 5 to 7 p.m. Visit a variety of downtown Tillamook retailers, relax, and be social. Retailers participating include Anderson Florist, Art Accelerated, Food Roots, Home Life Fern, Lucky Bear Soap, Madeline's Vintage Marketplace, Pacific Restaurant, Phoenix Exchange, Salty Raven, Sarasota's, Sunflower Flats, The The list goes on. So fun. The fairgrounds has their holiday bazaar this weekend. Oh, the holidays are it's right there. I can't believe I was making Thanksgiving plans last night. What happened to this year? Friday, noon to 7 and Saturday, 10 to 5, free admission and free parking. That's again at the fairgrounds for the holiday bazaar. Saturday, there is a Refuse to be a Victim class at Pacific City at the Pacific Coast Bible Church from 1 to 5. It is open to teenagers and up and costs $5 for the class. This crime prevention seminar teaches methods to avoid dangerous situations and prevent criminal confrontations. The number for that is 815-3354. That's 815-3354. And you can call the station and get more information. And Sunday at the Air Museum is the annual Veterans Day celebration starting at 11 o'clock. They always do such a fantastic job with a variety of speakers and performances honoring our veterans. There's also a fundraiser breakfast from 7:30 to 10:30 that same morning at the Air Base Cafe. Woo! That's a lot of stuff, as usual. So, Robin, thank you. And Ginny, thank you. It's been such a pleasure having you here. And thank you for this wonderful information. I hope that if you're listening, that you take the time to give the health department or the hospital a call and get more information if you have questions. And this is Stacie Zuerchr, Northwest Senior and Disability, signing off. Have a wonderful day.